Okay. Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon to our colleagues in Korea. I hope my voice is clear and everyone can hear me fine. And I would like to welcome you to the Kuwait Public Policy Center flagship lecture series. Before we start, I would like to ask that if anyone has any questions, you can direct them directly to the chat box. And at the end of the lecture, we will have a Q&A session. We hope that we can cover all the questions that arise. So today we have a very special guest from the Korean Development Institute, and he will be transformation in Korea. Please allow me to introduce our esteemed guest speaker, Professor Kwon from the Korean University. Professor Kwon is a pioneer of research on legal systems and policies related to ICT, data, personal information protection, and security. He received his bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees in law at Yonsei University. He gained practical experience by working at the ICT policy think tank in Korea, the National Information Society Agency, and as director in the Presidential Office of Korea for legal matters on e-government and informatization. He served as chairman of Korea Society of Internet Ethics and Cyber Communication Academy Society. He is currently chair of the Special Committee on Artificial Intelligence Data Administration in the Korean Association for Public Administration. He is head of Law Support Group and Personal Information Protection Research Group in Korea Institute of Information Security and Cryptology. He is senior EVP in Korea Society of IT Services. He is a member of Special Committee on Data in the Presidential Committee on the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Korea. He's a member of the Committee on Data Administration and the Ministry of Interior and Safety and the Promotion Committee for Intelligence Informatization in the Ministry of Education. In his pursuit of theoretical research that can be fused with the field, he received various commendations from the Korean government and recognition to informatization, e-government, and personal information protection, including the Service Merit in 2011, the Green Stripes Order of Service Merit in 2019. Professor Kwon's capabilities extend not only in academia, but also in the public and private sector to develop Korea's data policy. So without further ado, I would like to hand over the mic to Professor Kwon. Please, Professor Kwon, if you can start your lecture. Thank you. And as I said, if you can keep all your questions in the chat box, then we will answer them in the Q&A session towards the end of the lecture. Over to you, Professor Kwon.
Thank you, Ms. Hawara. Am I right? Can you hear me?
Hawara.
Ms. Hawara, thank you very much. Just long introduce.
We can hear you fine. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
With someone with your capabilities, yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I am Yeong Kwon, a professor at Korea University. It is a great pleasure to have a future-oriented policy dialogue with you all. Also, I want to extend my warmest greetings to Kuwait Public Policy Center and the KDI, Korea Development Institute, for supporting with higher perspective in the global level. I will share my slides. Can you see that?
Yes. Yes, it's clear.
Thank you. This is my biography, but already introduced. This content says the first stage is the advent of digital transformation era, and the second is Korea's digital transformation strategy, and the third is data-driven digital economy innovation, and the fourth is the strategic direction of digital transformation era. The first is the advent of digital transformation era. This slides contain the competition for acquisition and the monopolization of the original applied technology and the data as a strategic asset. It's maybe the origin or the history of Korean ICT policy development.
Dr. Kwon, if possible, can you maximize the screen make it in presentation mode so it spills out.
Yeah. Okay, it's okay?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. The digital transformation has now become the center of discussion in our society. It is usually regarded as a term for the fourth industrial revolution in Korea. Some interpret this transition in terms of economic and industrial strategies. Others interpret the advancement of physical infrastructure as a digital transformation. Each field interprets various digital transitions, but this phenomenon is more comprehensive than ever. The reason why we call this phenomenon a great transition is not irrelevant. This is because there is a qualitative difference in the category or effectiveness of its influence from changes, such as digitization in the previous era. Now, the concept of digital transformation means that companies, countries, and ordinary individuals innovate the traditional way of operating in the past by building and utilizing ICT, such as Internet of Things, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence and big data solutions. Digitization of information alone has made it easier to store, search, and use information, which has significantly impacted the industry and the social environment. However, digital transformation further leads to innovation centered on the entity that utilizes data and the right holder who profits from it. As you can see from the slide, the world has already undergone many of revolutions and evolutions. Beyond the era of mechanizations and mass production in the past, changes have already occurred that can satisfy each actor's needs by personalizing them, and we have witnessed the changes. Plus, digitalization allowed us to enjoy the service at home instead of visiting in person. And now the international community is facing a hyper-intelligent society called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. We are now able to create high added value based on the convergence of technology. And we are able to make more rational and efficient decisions based on data than ever. So what enabled such a digital transformation possible? I can certainly say that the development of science and technology. Digital technology has fused with technologies from other domains to bring out new technology concepts that have never been identified before. These include biotechnology, nanotechnology, environmental engineering, and space engineering. Not long ago, these innovative technologies were in the research stage as a promising technologies in academia. However, it now became a core technology that is practically applied in various industries. With the development of these original application and infrastructure technologies, digital transformation is now affecting each field at an unprecedented rate. Acceleration of digital transformation is now only directly related to the survival of companies and nations. But COVID-19, Korea demonstrated its capabilities as one of the leading countries in ICT by leveraging ICTs as a strategic means to overcome the COVID-19 crisis. The government and the medical sector, the public and the companies collaborated to promote the use of newly developed ICT and sought to overcome this crisis by incorporating scientific technologies and ICT in various areas, including medicine, quarantine, education, and labor. As a result, Korea's response to COVID-19 in the face of national crisis spreading to terrifying pace has been recognized as the most successful case by overseas media. Digital-related material infrastructure has already been established, but the transparent disclosure and sharing of COVID-related data contributed to its success. Companies also required a shift in the way that worked in an untaxed state. Individuals required a life where they can physically interact. Therefore, various technologies such as metaverse, IoT, and the edge network developed. These changes have expanded cyberspace into a logical world and a physical world. In other words, our entire lives are changing, including the way we work and communicate. Such a digital transformation is something that goes beyond the existing legal, social, political, and cultural systems. COVID-19 as a starting point, we have experienced a life-changing transformation. This transformation works as a double-edged sword. Since technological advances and the boundaries between the logical and the physical worlds are blurred, it increases complexity and social instability and intensifies existing social conflicts or disputes. As a response, nations seek for ways to increase social stability, such as securing digital inclusion and strengthening cybersecurity. Nevertheless, the areas where digital transformation strategies are given stronger meaning than anything else would be the economy and the industrial field. Now that the use of data is becoming important and its transformation is accelerating, nations are competing to set up data and technology as strategic assets and secure power for growth. It hasn't been long since data was considered a driving force for economic growth. Now, not only did there be no infrastructure to utilize data, but there was not enough data guaranteed to make meaningful decisions. Though, as digital transformation begins rapidly, all economic activities, including goods, assets, productions, consumption, transactions, and redistribution rely on digitized and networked factors of production. Now, data is collected and processed based on data analysis technology. As a result, new values that have not been seen before began to be given to data. Through data-based decision-making, we can innovate the traditional way of operation in the past and provide the goods or services to suit to needs of each service user. All of these changes are derived from vast amounts of data and rely on advances in data processing and analysis technology that can make a good use of the data. The new environment of the digital economy demands the nation to have new capabilities. This is because the digital economy uses data as its main source and foretells a new paradigm different from the past economic system. As a result, countries are stepping up to digital transformation into the economy and industry to lead a hegemony in a new economic era, and securing data is so important that it considered as a matter of survival competition for the country. As digital transformation has emerged as a key national strategy, we should be able to predict how digital transformation will take place in this year. Forecasting of this direction also helps policymaking, and concerns not only stay with simple declaration to secure technical capabilities. Analysis of trends also serves as a framework for establishing aspects of digital transformation in our lives, depending on the current status of technological development and the future social aspects. First of all, total experience, TX, which combines UX, CX, and EX, is emerging as a major keywords. This has been done in the past, but it reveals that it can promote positive changes by reflecting the experiences of all participants in economic activities, such as workers and distributors, as well as the expansion of customer data platforms. Furthermore, facts such as the re-examination of cybersecurity, advances in automation technology, and the rise of database decision-making have been steadily discussed in the past. But the highlight here is that digital transformation aimed at sustainable development begins to emerge. Environmental regulations are now taking on the form of practical regulations that go beyond just moral or ethical guidelines and strike the industry. The speed up of the digital transformation across a society, especially for manufacturing industries with large carbon footprint. The second stage is Korea's digital transformation strategy. Just as digital transformation is not a sudden appearance, Korea has taken its steps slowly to become a digital leader. Therefore, in order to understand Korea's current strategies and policies, it is necessary to check how digital-related policies and strategies have progressed in the past. In order to set our future direction, exploring the current strategy direction is essential. This page is a brief indication of the steps we have taken. The government, which spans the past 1960s to 1980s, endeavored to promote science and technology based on its strong momentum. The strategy of this period focuses on policies to promote science and technology by laying the foundation for computerization of administration and securing original technologies. Under the slogan, Science and Technology State and Technological Independence, the government utilized the promotion of science and technology as a tool to enhance national status and national competitiveness. To this end, Korea has made efforts to implement a 5-year science and technology plan and to establish the Korea Institute of Science and Technology and the Ministry of Science and Technology. The government also first introduced computers to the central administration from 1967 to lay the foundation for administrative computerization. In 1975, the basic plan for administrative computerization was implemented to computerize central administrative affairs. Korea's strategy at the time focused on securing science and technology and digitizing small areas of administration rather than building digital infrastructure. However, it has own significance in that it first laid the foundation for establishing digital infrastructure based on strong momentum from the 1960s and the 1970s. Previously, science and technology were regarded as the driving force for the government's economic growth and the medium for securing national capabilities. But from 1978 to the late 1990s, the core of the strategy was economic growth through fostering the electronics and the information industries. To this end, the government prepared measures to foster the information industry and strived to separate and establish a new governance system for promoting informatization. In the case of fostering the information industry, the government led the development of the information industry based on strong leadership at the time, such as holding quarterly technology promotion expansion meetings presided over the president or planning an information industry development strategy centered on the economic planning board. At this time, an attempt was made to open to the telecommunications businesses monopolized by the state to secure private information capabilities. Governance to promote informatization is also an essential element to support strong policy drives. And the Ministry of Information and Communication was established to lead the overall informatization work until the mid to late 2000. Another feature of the strategy of this period is that it has the nature of the first generation of e-government policies that laid the foundation for e-government. The administrative computerization plan, which has been implemented before, deviated from computer-based administration and established an information system throughout the central administrative agency. Furthermore, the focus was on establishing a network that allows the flow of information within administrative agencies or between administrative agencies in each region to connect as one. To this end, the government has endeavored to establish an information system and computerize public affairs across the central administrative agencies. The second basic plan for administrative computerization, implemented in 1983, focused a little more on the flow of information mentioned above. Efforts were made to connect each task through a computer network beyond the automation of work, and the goal was to establish a large-scale administrative information system that allows information to flow to a single information center through establishing a nationwide communication network and the implementation of administrative databases to support this. The National Basic Information System, NBIS project, is a full-fledged policy that laid the foundation for e-government. The project, which was carried out from 1978 to 1997, 10 years period, was 20 years period was expanded from the administrative computer network project, targeting not only administrative fields, but also 5 major areas. 5 major areas are very important. So first is administration and finance, educational research, national defense, and public safety. Plus, high-speed information and communication networks to upgrade these networks were also implemented at this time. And the laws were enacted to improve the network moving data and information infrastructure. These include Act on promotion of information and communication network utilization and information protection, Framework Act on informatization. Informatization Promotion and Personal Information Protection Act. These laws and acts are several or more than several acts and individual acts. It contains the items of the policies. And especially, there is a statistical processing system as an instance of a national-based information system. The high-speed internet network was implemented from 1995 to 2010, greatly increasing the speed of the network and is currently used as an e-government infrastructure in Korea. Efforts to install communication network facilities and the implementation and implement data systems are problems that cannot be solved within a single government. This demands a large amount of cost, effort, and manpower since it builds IT and information systems as infrastructure that can support the foundation of society. The national computer network business and the establishment of a high-speed internet network took a long time to complete. Therefore, this requires bold budget investments that can support the development and the progress of the project, national support to lead it firmly, consistent policy directions, and agreement and participation of practitioners to lead digital transformation. Luckily, these requirements were met. Korea has able to pave the way for future e-government policies. From late 1997 to 2012, e-government policies began to implemented in earnest. And policy direction at this time is divided in two: implementation of advanced e-government and the complete foundation of the knowledge and information powerhouse. In 1997, the government carried out e-government project to escape the aftermath of the IMF. That is the financial crisis in Korea. In 2003, the government announced an e-government roadmap to build e-government infrastructure with keywords such as innovation in the way of working, innovation in public services, innovation in information resource management, and legislative maintenance. Further, the existing national infrastructure network began to be used in earnest as an infrastructure. In 2009, information and communication services exclusively for government agencies were established to provide more robust security and stability. In addition, a government-integrated data center has been prepared by each ministry to manage rapidly increasing information resources efficiently. To promote these e-government policies, the government enacted the Electronic Government Act which stipulates the basic principles of policy implementation for e-government, administrative agency responsibility, and establishment and utilization of e-government-based systems. Especially the areas that show the expansion of e-government policy are as follows. What is worth considering as a peculiarity of policy since the 1990s is that the transfer of the regime and the spread of the democratization have begun to emerge from government policies. In the past policies, cooperation with the private sector is a secondary factor, and the government has led the strategy with a strong force leading the policy. On the other hand, subsequent policy aspects emphasize public-private cooperation and show the direction of maximizing private creativity or capabilities. In addition, this direction is also revealed in e-government policies. The government tries to implement integrated e-government services for citizens, and these have continued to this day. This policy direction shows that informatization and e-government policies are not simply implemented in the supplier's position, but are implemented around consumers and beneficiaries. Examples of the aspects of these services are shown in the table below. Of course, there were not only government-related policies. Support and educational projects have been implemented to expand the capacity of the private sector. And there have been policies to discover technologies and services since then. Korea also tried to prevent adverse events that can occur in the digitalization and the information environment. First of all, policies to improve private capacity include IT specialized curriculum for women, adult, intermediate level, e-Korea education for the whole nation, job creation plans for small and medium-sized venture companies, and small and medium-sized IT promotion projects. A representative example of the foundation project is to IT A39 strategies. This policy aims to secure national competitiveness and strengthen capabilities in the future by discovering the securing next generation services, infrastructure, and the new growth engines. In the case of information dysfunction, policies have been implemented in the area of information gap narrowing and information security. Since 2012, informatization and e-government policies have suffered stagnation due to the national promotion of the civil engineering industry and the government's indifference to informatization policies. It has faced changes again since 2017. However, the situation in the past and the situation we faced in 2017 were slightly different. With the rapid development of the technology that can process data, data has already been regarded as a raw material for creating new values. In addition, as the paradigm of e-government has changed to an intelligent government, the focus has been on implementing a component government that promotes cooperation and communication, and service government that provides customized services for citizens. The government actively discloses the public data to the private sector to use it as a source of value creation. From the perspective of customized services for citizens, customer-centered services were more emphasized. Along with this, new technologies such as smartphones, networks, IoT, big data, cloud computing, mobile, and artificial intelligence AI are speeding up the innovation and transformation that policies aim for. The tendency to actively utilize data is shown as this period. Public and public institutions tried to use data for better decision making. Thus, expanding the data utilization infrastructure was necessary. Infrastructure does not simply mean physical infrastructure, but includes institutional and human infrastructure. In the case of the public sector, institutional governance has been redefined to make better use of data. The Presidential Committee on the Fourth Industrial Revolution was established under the direction control of the President, and a special data committee was established below. The committee is intended to open a public big data center to support national important decisions based on data. To support data purchases and processing services in the private sector, the government implemented a data voucher support project and distributed it in the form of open API to make good use of public data. And the Basic Act on Promotion and the Utilization on the Data Industry was enacted at this time with the aim of revitalizing the data industry. Accordingly, securing related skills and capabilities is becoming very important. Based on the national AI strategy, the government is striving to secure technologies such as developing AI innovation solutions and supporting them nationally. It has also become important how to manage high-quality data. As a result, plans such as activating the data dam and building AI learning data are being promoted as a way to manage data that is considered a driving force for economic growth. As the value of data utilization increases, cybersecurity is considered an essential factor to consider. The ripple effect of risk has been greater than before because hyperconnectivity has increased the connectivity between actors. In order to prepare for these threats, policies are being implemented to strengthen the security capabilities of both public and private sectors. This appears to be a reorganization of control towers for cybersecurity strategies, the establishment of cybersecurity certification systems, and the opening of cybersecurity training and exercising centers. With the achievements of these past strategies, Korea has made remarkable progress, which is evident in the evaluation of international organizations. First of all, the ITU released an Information Society Measurement Report to 176 countries in 2017. And an ICT Development Index. Korea ranked first in the overall ICT Development Index from 2013 to 2016, and second in 2017. In the OECD Digital Government Index evaluated by the OECD International Organization in 2019, Korea ranked first in digital priority and open government evaluation among 6 indicators: digital priority, platform government, open government, data-based government, national-led government, and preemptive government. These achievements are also revealed in the United Nations E-Government Development Index. In the 2020 e-government evaluation of 193 countries, Korea ranked second in the E-Government Development Index and tied for first in the Online Participation Index. As such, past strategies are evaluated as excellent achievements. So what about the government's ongoing strategy? In 2019, Korea established a plan to promote digital government innovation under the vision of a good digital world. This reflects the growing demand for accelerating digital transformation as a non-face-to-face culture emerges throughout society, including administration, education, and industry due to COVID-19. This strategy uses the COVID-19 crisis as an opportunity to accelerate digital government innovation. And Korea's digital government innovation development plan has progressed more than initially planned. It is also a major challenge to open public data and expand the digital infrastructure to support it. The plan is evaluated to play a big role in effectively responding to the COVID-19 crisis by laying the foundation for e-government and solidifying the public-private cooperation system. In 2021, last year, the National Information Society Agency selected 10 major issues in the digital field through the 2021 major issues and the top 10 policy direction report, and presented policy directions on what we should prepare for. The main content is how to respond to the dysfunctions that data and technology can bring. These issues include fake news or policy distrust and increase in the digital conversion gap by field, an academic gap due to non-face-to-face, and a digital gap. This report not only focuses on growth-related strategies in digital transformation, but also gives implications for how digital technology and data should be used for another goal: to live well. The government announced the Digital New Deal 2.0 as part of its plan to respond to COVID-19 in 2021. The Digital New Deal 1.0, which took effect a year ago, has led the transition to a digital and eco-friendly society. And the international community is also evaluating the Korean version of the New Deal as a representative national development strategy to overcome the COVID-19 crisis and cope with the climate crisis. However, COVID-19 has caused problems such as youth employment insecurity. In addition, as digitalization spreads rapidly to all areas of society, demand for manpower in new growth fields increases rapidly, showing various changes in social structure. The policy that reflects these changes is Digital New Deal 2.0. The policy aims to strengthen the ecosystem of DNA, data network, and AI, In addition to technology fields such as data, network, and NI, and focuses on upgrading non-face-to-face infrastructure such as smart medical care and digital non-face-to-face education. In addition, Korea is focusing on fostering new hyper-connected industries, including metaverse. This includes infrastructure technologies in the digital era, such as cloud computing, blockchain, and IoT. And with the aim of expanding infrastructure, Korea is pushing for digitalization of social overhead capital, and including core infrastructure. Third stage is a strategic direction of digital transformation era. In line with the changes, Korea is trying to convert qualitative data with the fourth industrial revolution as its presidential task. We are living in a world where a country that utilizes data well can first secure growth leadership in the upcoming digital economy era. Accordingly, the United Kingdom also established a national data strategy in 2020, and Japan established the digital agency. Countries such as the United States, Australia, and Singapore have also accelerated their steps. However, the formal idea of using data well cannot achieve data-based economic innovation. In order to achieve successful digital economic innovation based on data, several directions must be kept in mind. In order to make good use of data, the essential infrastructure for data generation, processing, and management is bound to the prerequisite. So, what kind of infrastructure should be implemented around the data? It should be an infrastructure that can encompass the entire life cycle of data. Currently, the government is focusing its policy on establishing the foundation for collecting and utilizing data. It also assists innovation take place in the private sector based on data by overhauling legislation and the governance so that data transactions and distribution can be actively carried out in the private sector. In addition, data will need to be collected and shared quickly to make timely decisions using data. 5G or 6G is considered one of the major projects in building digital infrastructure because it is a network that ensures rapid data movement. And the technological advancement of the network is helping to check a wide range of data in real time. With the advancement of AI and the big data processing technologies and the real-time processing of data using the cloud, we can process more data faster than before. In response, the government is implementing plans to build high-quality data sets and create various AI services through the data dam businesses, or to relocate and integrate all IT systems in the public sector to the cloud by 2025 through a cloud-first strategy. Likewise, in terms of digital infrastructure transformation alone, active policy establishment and strategy implementation are taking place in each public sector and private sector. However, these efforts lead to unnecessary waste of resources due to the overlapping and the inefficiency of digital transformation policies and the projects promoted by ministries. Accordingly, it is necessary to establish an integrated promotion system that can oversee policies and projects in each sector and allocate budgets. In Korea, the need for a pan-ministerial data organization was emphasized in 2020, and the Presidential Committee on the Fourth Industrial Revolution was created in 2021 to reorganize the systems and coordinate the work of ministries. Although it is a transitional organization, it has laid the foundation for pan-government data governance. This integrated governance has strengths in that it can lead policies and projects efficiently and systematically. However, there is a problem that it is difficult to create a universal policy that is suitable for all industrial domains. Therefore, it is necessary to prepare a driving process to materialize these guidelines for each subdomain, and the highest data governance body must continuously coordinate and manage them within the framework of the overall policy. Creating a data sharing environment among economically active actors is another axis to achieve digital economic innovation, and is considered as a key factor in revitalizing the data or digital economy. While building digital infrastructure is showing a pattern of hardware advancement, building a shared environment is focused on building data infrastructure to make better use of data. In other words, the role of the government with large quantities of quality data is the most important. The most representative example of the government's public data opening policy is that data such as patient, weather, and geographic information have already been opened to the private sector, creating new services such as bus arrival apps and coronavirus status maps. As I have already mentioned, the government has a policy direction to expand the stocks of public data that are open. In order to promote such open sharing of public data, an active incentive system is needed. And since public data often includes highly utilized personal and sensitive information, technical processing such as anonymization should be accompanied. In addition to the public sector's efforts to open data transactions between actors in the private sector have a direct impact on industrial development. The Data and AI Economy Revitalization Plan announced only by the government includes policy tasks to establish a high-quality data distribution base. First of all, the main task is to promote a voucher business that supports data purchases and processing costs so that small and medium-sized venture companies can use data to develop new services. In addition, in trading data, the main task is to create a safe data transaction basis so that there are no security problems. In order to revitalize this data transaction field, technology development and standardization to improve data quality are important. So it is necessary to establish a data standard system for each field. With the progress of the fourth industrial revolution, data is emerging a key strategic resource that exceeds existing production factors such as people and capital. This phenomenon leads to innovate in existing industries and the creation of new industries, leading to innovative growth in the entire industry. One of the new trends in the industrial fields in 2022 is environmentally related trade and industry regulations such as ESG, carbon reduction, and RE100. Accordingly, actors in each industry are making efforts to secure corporate sustainability through digital transformation. It is true that we have so far focused on creating new industries that have never existed before, rather than attempting to utilize data for declining industries. Industries that dominated national competitiveness have already established a solid network of distribution, consumption, and production. Rather than abandoning these advantages and focusing only on creating new industries, we should consider what areas we have strengths in and what strategies can maximize them using data. There is a need for a strategy to use data to transform declining industries into economic engines again. Digital transformation is taking place, led by the fourth industrial revolution, and the demand for software developers is soaring. In response, the government has expanded its investment in software talent training through large new education projects that reflect the needs of industrial sites, or the Korean version of the New Deal. However, the lack of absolute talent and qualitative mismatch are pointed out as problems with the current education system. In addition, there is a time difference of up to 4 years from education and training to entering the labor market. And there is a limit to the production of talent that companies want due to the rigidity of the university academic management, or the lack of professors, instructors, and teachers. In the digital transformation era, the education system also needs to change. Strengthening coding education and adding AI practice is not something to do. Education should focus on transforming people into talent suitable for the digital age, and the education innovation strategies are needed for this. First of all, it is necessary to establish a public-private consultative body and pan-ministerial cooperative system to reflect the industrial side's opinions in education properly. The government should continuously consult with the private sector, plan and inspect educational projects, and improve them through feedback. To this end, it is essential to have a public-private consultative body that can encompass the requirements of each domain and the changing understanding relationship of the industrial association. Since last year, the government has been devising measures such as actively utilizing the cooperation budget framework of new technology workforce training ministries to prevent similar redundancy or talent training projects and ensure that they can be designed, led by companies. Second is that there is a need to manage the results so that human resources training is not limited to a declarative proposition. We need a system that can manage the performance data such as employment rate and employment retention rate of the participants in the education program mentioned earlier. Identify their careers and the job paths and return them to policy. The performance management system also has the advantage of placing talented people trained through educational projects in the right place for the industry. The last stage is the strategic direction of digital transformation era. We are now at the point of discussing the digital transformation rather than just the keyword of the fourth industrial revolution. This is because the realm of digitalization is expanding beyond the simple science and technology to our entire lives, including politics and society and culture. What should be the era spirit that can define the era of digital transformation in this era of change? Discussing what kind of society is expected when transitioning to the digital economy and what needs to be done to achieve is necessary. In other words, there is a need for a level of discussion that can affect the whole country's economy. There is a need for a strategy on how to get rid of marginal industries or how to expand the scope of data utilization from the economic sector to bring out practical economic returns. It is also necessary to prepare for social, cultural, and political transformation to live well, which is often neglected. It must be changed in an integrated way. This could include digital sovereignty, digital literacy, digital data utilization to implement democracy and innovation across the government system using data. In addition, digital infrastructure must be expanded and built dramatically. The infrastructure forms the basis of the spirit of the time, well-off, and well-being. The problem here is who will be the subject of infrastructure construction. Transportation is carried out separately by the Ministry of Road and Transportation, and the industries are working separately by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry, and Energy. There is an intense debate over who will take responsibility for it and build infrastructure in areas where it is ambiguous to divide for the field. These debates can also cause adverse effects that slow down the pace of digitalization across society. Under this spirit of the times, the direction, the strategies, and the policies should be largely divided into economic strategies, social and cultural strategies, and strategies for building infrastructure. First of all, in the case of economic strategies must be organized, led by the goal of continuous growth. The role expected to the government is a coordinator who can adjust the interest of technological development, which can be seen as a way to lead technological development and secure core strategy assets and source assets. In addition, economic strategies applied to the industrial sector must have a large framework for creating a data sharing environment, such as establishing a data sharing standard system for smooth data sharing between the private and the private sectors. The regulatory system at this time should be centered on data and users, which will induce innovative competition and the project users' rights and interest. In addition, policies such as separate processes or professional qualification systems are needed to cultivate high-quality technical personnel to cultivate talent needed for the digital economy. Next, strategies to prepare for social, cultural, and political transformation must have a direction that can provide a stable mechanism for our rapidly changing lives. Accordingly, the technology itself must be safe and trust-based. This is in line with the need to establish a dysfunctional response system to prepare and deal with possible problems in utilizing technology and data in advance. In addition, digital transformation will have to be made in the direction of implementing a practical social safety net especially for vulnerable areas of vulnerable groups. In the case of digital infrastructure transformation strategies, they are not limited to building material infrastructure. The reason why it is necessary is to support growth-related strategies and ensure social, cultural, and political stability so that physical, institutional, and human infrastructure can form the basis. To this end, infrastructure must be guaranteed in the form of ensuring a network between various subjects and expanding the network so that actors can actually be connected. And the infrastructure should be completely reorganized, focusing on the use of data derived from the network. Digital transformation has been interpreted in its own way depending on the focus of each field, like establishment of physical infrastructure, industrial development, and economic. However, the meaning of digital transformation is not limited to to the society, but also where all members of society can pursue happiness. The national strategy should not just imitate a developed country, but should be aimed at establishing its status as a new order creation entity. The implementation of this innovation strategy is not achieved by the policy making and implementation of a single subject called the government. The true subject is the private sector and the people. Strategies should be implemented through cooperation with the private sector away from government initiatives. And convergent governance with domain knowledge based on knowledge in each industry should be pursued, not digital governance centered on technological understanding. And the government should be able to continue to lead this overall strategy. Since current digital transformation is not just a one-time event, the government on establishing a system. Wow. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Professor Kwon.
Haha, okay. I can finish in 1 minute. The
Sure,
last presentation slides you can okay. Since current digital transformation is not just a one-time event, the government must focus on establishing a system that can guarantee digital transformation. In other words, digital transformation policies and strategies ought to be systematically organized under integrated governance. In addition, based on a firm sense of responsibility and leadership, those who can pursue digital transformation should be discovered and appointed as a driving force to lead change. Okay. Thank you very much. The long time attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Kwon, for a very interesting lecture. We will now switch the floor to the questions. So I will go ahead and go with the first question. How will continued digitalization and hyperconnectivity affect those who don't have the capabilities to adapt to these technologies? How do we ensure that those who are less privileged don't get negatively impacted? Were you able to
It's
hear the question?
a very good question and very difficult to answer. But I think there is the minor groups like as the cannot fully use the data technology. They cannot using or accessing or they using computer systems or the other terminals. But in Korea, there is an various gap in the generation gap, like as the young people can use data as in their life, but the older people cannot use this mobile phone. Maybe that the services only from the mobile phone or the applications from the smart system, they cannot access that the services. So this is the problem. Also, the Korea face to have to solve the problem. So we can make the social inclusion planning, like as a literacy to the education voucher or data community to learn how to use the digital services. So many policies are under developing. Maybe that countries, some countries does not have full capacity to infrastructure like as a 5G or 6G or data strategic data services not accessible. That is maybe that whole project will be needed. I think that is.
Thank you very much. The next question is, how can governments ethically and safely adopt cryptocurrency and financial blockchain technologies? This field particularly has seen a lot of scandals and corruption cases.
Still a very difficult matters that Korea government has not clearly how adopted the currency the blockchain or the cryptocurrency, but we started that cryptocurrency is the deal with the asset like as money or like as the other real estate or some kind of property, but that is not as currency. That is the different policy area. So currency regulation is not adopted, but asset regulation is adapted. Now is still that problem is now the matters is now under developing our policy making.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question, speaking on the Korean experience, what is the best way to accelerate economic digital transformation in a way that won't face a lot of pushback?
It's very important, but it's still difficult to answer that. Digital transformation is the very various area, and policy area is also various. So the Korean government focus on the, as I mentioned, the slides, overcome the COVID-19 crisis. So and then is the continuous stage for developing after ICT development, and the future digital transformation is matching the crisis overcome and continuous policy making. We are focusing on the how making the infrastructure the advanced, like as the as now even the Korean network infrastructure is the first rank of the world. But we need to advance is to make it a match of all the digital transformation perfectly. So we can make the adopted for the 6G, sixth generation telecommunication network, and then as edge computing, to which is the data processing in the nearby the solutions or nearby the environment of like as we are driving area, or the liking as the public or the smart healthcare systems, like as immediately processing the data. It needs the edge computing and the cloud computer system. So we have to advance the state of the art of the technical environment. And the other one is how to make the social inclusion, and there's no gap with the various people who can access and using the services. So now we are developing the digital transformation, industrial transition, like the industrial companies to the digital version companies, new data companies, and so on. So we have to face a new style of policy development is now ongoing.
Thank you. Our next question is, public sector is characterized by being rigid and incapable of keeping pace with technological advancements, especially from regulatory point of view. How do you improve government's adaptation and response, and how to deal with disruption?
Still the hard or difficult difficult question. Regulation meets innovation as the versus the competition area. So we need a new concept for the innovation services. So we learned from the United Kingdom's case, like a regulatory sandbox. It is adapted in the field of financial regulation. That we have the open banking, or the innovative banking services. Banking is traditionally regulated businesses. So that is open to the regulation of the newcomer, new businesses to serve their service to the public. So it can be regulatory sandbox is the new paradigm of the regulation of the new technology or new innovative services. It still is I think that is the experiment is ongoing in our society.
Thank you. So the next question is, when you speak of nurturing talents, does this include all backgrounds and positions?
Pardon? One more, please.
The question states that when you speak of nurturing talents, does that include all backgrounds and positions?
In the development of new human resources, there will be several solutions can be discussed, I think. The first one is the data or digital transformation area professions, like as the developers, software developer, or the AI algorithm developers, such as the core competencies for the high-level profession. But the other one is to using the technology, digital area. That is the common people, like as the older people, the citizens. So the direction will be various. The high quality education is so needed, and the other one is the public digital literacy education. That is the elementary schools or to the public schools can educate for the people, citizens. And the other one is the university level, or the other is graduate courses. They can make the core technology or ability to make the your digital capacity of your nationwide.
Okay, thank you. And we have our last question, and then maybe after that, Dr. Khalid has joined us, so maybe we'll have to give some closing remarks. So the last question is, what would be the most effective interventions or strategies that were helpful to overcome fake news and the digital gap challenges within the Korean population?
Fake news is the most common problem in this stage. Every country, I think. Fake news is overcome these cases is needed. The first one is, I think, everyone, citizens' ability, capability, or literacy is a very important thing. They well known and well using the digital technology, they can overcome the fake news. But the vulnerability is the skills or not fully educated people is affected that fake news. So maybe that is I think the solution, in my opinion, is to establish self-regulative body in your society who can make the fake news and rapidly check fact findings. Is revealed that is that there's no way, no rooms for the fake news is. So how we can make it that is how rapidly, immediately, what is the fact find? Fact find is very important thing, and the other one is self-regulation of the professions, like as journalists or their scholars or the professions. They grouping and then make that there's no fake news is get out of their boundaries. It is the solution, I think.
Thank you very much, Professor Kwon, for a very interesting lecture today, and thank you for the audience that joined us. I will transfer the mic to His Excellency Dr. Khalid Mehdi, the General Secretariat for the Supreme Council of Planning and Development, for any closing remarks. Over to you, Dr. Khalid.
Thank you very much, Professor Kwon, for a very interesting lecture. Honestly, I did not have the chance to go through all, but at least I caught some of the main messages that you presented in this lecture series. I'm glad that some of the high officials in Kuwait, they join us in this lecture, especially my dear Mr. Mohammed Tora from Sitra. And I do believe there are others as well interested in this topic. As you know, the KPPC lecture series focus on what is going on around the world. We have the motto of thinking global and acting local, and it will be definitely an added value to hear from you the New Deal, that what you call it, for the digital transformation in the in South Korea. What it caught my attention is the future culture on establishing an integrated governance of the world's leading prefectures of the internet, manufacturers of the internet, telecommunication, broadcasting, as well as the media production. This is very interesting concept. I would assume that an integrated governance will pave the way to more interconnectivity in the world. Now, currently, the world is during Milgram experiment, it was a degree of separation of equal 6. Now we are talking about what, 2.57 or maybe so. So we are very closer and closer together because of the internet. We are moving to even more to IoT, the blockchain integrated with all of this digital. I call them toys. I'm not sure what will be the future we are heading, but we definitely understand that South Korea now is leading that new revolution to a more digital transformation of the globe. Thank you very much, Professor Kwon, for your lecture. It was very informative. We are glad to host you in this prestigious KPPC lecture series. And we hope to see you in Kuwait maybe after the pandemic. To host you to give us more even direction on the development on that aspect. Thank you very much. I would like to thank my KPPC team, all the attendees. Hawra, nice job. Shari, great job. Thank you very much for doing all of the great logistic. And I'm sure there are many on the in the machinery of making the KPPC lecture series successful. Over to you, Hawra.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. So Professor Kwon, as a closing kind of celebratory thing that we would like to do, if you can please close your shared screen so we can have a group photo taken before we end.
Yes, thank you very much. I will expect the main invitation after the COVID crisis. I will be there and face-to-face the conversation be needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we'll have a group photo taken in a few moments. While we're closing, just to address our attendees, thank you very much for attending the lecture. A few notes: you can view our lecture, this current lecture and the previous lectures on our YouTube channel and as well from our website.
Hawra, before you take the picture, ask Professor Kwon to close the presentation.
Yes,
stop sharing,
Professor Kwon.
So we will have a
Can you please stop sharing the...
Okay, I try.
Okay, please
this system is the first using.
There we go. Here we go. Yeah, big smiles, everyone.
You can see that?
Yes. So,
thank you.
Your smile, please.
3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Yes, thank you very much.
Please
so
send
like
me
I
the
said, for our attendees, thank you for attending, and thank you, Professor Kwon, for your time and for a wonderful lecture. Thank you, Dr. Khalid, for your closing remarks and joining us. For anyone who wants to know more about the KPPC, Shari is going to share our website. You can view our previous lectures as well from the website or from the YouTube channel. So thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon in Korea and good rest of the morning and day for the people who are joining from Kuwait. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.